Hello my lovelies and welcome back to my channel. Today is day 3 of our Tofino Sew Along. Today we're adding the sleeves. If you're doing the sleeveless option, that means today is your freebie day, is your catch-up day, or just relaxing day, or you can start a new dress. For everyone else, today we're going to be sewing the sleeves and sewing the sleeves together, hemming them and adding them to the bodice. There's two kinds of sleeves with this pattern. There's a fitted satin sleeve, and there's also this beautiful round sleeve that mirrors the skirt. The skirt, I don't know if you've noticed, when you cut in day 1, the skirt is longer on the front and narrower on the side, so it's like it's a high-low, but both on the front and the back. It has a longer front and back and shorter sides. Very cute. So the sleeves kind of mirror that style. You might wonder why I'm at the ironing board. We're going to start today by ironing the sleeves. If you're doing the satin fitted sleeve, you're going to do a memory hem first. You're going to fold the bottom edge 5/8 of an inch, press it on both sleeves, and then you'll go to the sewing machine. If you're doing this beautiful flounce sleeve, you're going to start by ironing, and I want to show you, usually this is not something I show in the video, but this is part of the circle skirt tips and tricks that I have to give you. We're just going to apply the tips and tricks to a smaller scale, which is this beautiful sleeve. I have gotten my strikes in the mail. So this is a brand new print that's coming in the new pre-order. This is the candy print. The foodie pre-order will open next week, I want to say. I'm not sure when this video will be airing. So keep an eye on the Backstitch main group, because you will see all the lineup from the foodie round in there. This is a beautiful, gorgeous candy pre-order. Look how gorgeous. So pretty. So this is what I'll be using for my sleeves and the skirt, and I'll show you the bodice in just a little bit. So let's start by hemming. I'll show you, I'll be hemming the sleeves the same way I'll be hemming the skirt tomorrow. So I want to show you it is absolutely easy to do with no pins, no hemming tape, no extra tools. All you need is your hot iron. I have my very inexpensive Black & Decker one set to the highest temperature for linen is my highest temperature. I do have water in it. I'm using a Backstitch cotton lycra, so it's on the thicker side. If you're using a thinner cotton lycra, you can have it on the cotton setting, but I find for Backstitch cotton lycra that the linen works the best. So we're going to flip this over, and you're going to be using your thumb to hem a lot. So pick a random spot. You can start on the side, you can start on the bottom. It doesn't even matter because it's basically a circle. So you're going to hem. I do eyeball my hem because I've been sewing so much that it's easy to eyeball it. If you're not that comfortable with eyeballing the hem, you can definitely use a hem gauge and measure it out. It depends on your level of comfort. So for me, eyeballing is plenty. And if I do it half an inch instead of 5/8, we're talking about an 1/8 of an inch difference. So not a big deal. Even if I do it a little less or a little more, give yourself grace in this. You'll be fine. So let's start by pressing just a little bit. Okay? Lots and lots of steam. Lots and lots of steam. So this is doing well. Okay, so now I put my thumb under it, and I'm going to guide my fabric with my thumb. My index finger here is pulling a little bit, and my thumb is under, and I guide my fabric and stretch it ever so slightly while I go all around that circle. Key being pressing heftily and steaming. Don't skip your steam. So instead of holding like this with my thumb up, because I won't be able to stretch it as easily, what I do is I put my thumb under here and my index right on top, and this is how I stretch. I can zoom you even closer so you see what I mean, how I hold my fingers. And this is exactly what I'll be doing tomorrow for the skirt, see? Because obviously, excuse me, the exterior circle is bigger than the interior one, right? So we need to make that fit. So put your thumb under and stretch a little bit, see? This is how I'm doing it. Your index at the top, and you go all the way around. And because I have it very hot and I'm steaming it, it stays by itself. I'm stretching ever so slightly so that it lays flat on the curve when I press it. Lots and lots of steam. That is the key to hemming circles, knit circles. It doesn't really apply for woven because, well, it depends. It might work for woven if you're doing a very narrow hem and you're using the bias for you, working for you, but usually it has to be done on knits. So now I'm getting to where I started, and my hem, my memory hem, is already there. Okay. So this is what it will look like. When you're done hemming, and we'll take this to the cover stitch, or you'll take it to the sewing machine. Let me do the other part, the other sleeve, and then we'll go together to the cover stitch. Okay, so lay it flat, wrong side up, choose where you want to start, and press about 2 inches, an inch and a half. Okay, so I've pressed this. This is where I'm starting. And now I'm going from right to left, because that's my comfort, but you can go the other way, obviously. And just ever so slightly stretching so it irons flat. And see, I have 0 pins, 0 hem tape, 0 clips, just my hands and my iron. Easy peasy. Okay, and you're going to go all around. The most important thing, if you ask me, is having a hot iron and water in it with steam. Even if it's squeaky, like it's squeaking right now. I've had a Rowenta expensive one, and it lasted me less than my last cheap one, so I'm not buying any more expensive irons. This was like $35 probably, 40 bucks on Amazon. And it does the trick, and I won't cry if something happens to it, like I cried with my expensive Rowenta. Okay, so we have done the memory hem. It does look wavy, that's okay, no worries. We'll use our hands to flatten it when we sew it. So this is what it will look like. Let's go ahead and move to the sewing machine or the cover stitch and hem the sleeve. Okay, we are at the cover stitch. Again, you can do the steps that I'm about to do right now, the actual hemming, on your sewing machine without any issues. Just use a double twin needle, or a zigzag stitch is fine as well. You can also leave the sleeve raw and just trim away a 5/8 of an inch. Just make sure you trim it in a nice circle. But a cover stitch, if you have it, is definitely the easiest way. So right now I'm going to start on the smaller side. The smaller side will be in the armpit, so we'll start with that part. Just as you do with any cover stitch, you place your fabric right side up. I do feel with my finger where the edge is, so I try to make sure that my left needle is outside of the edge and my right needle is on the edge. This way it encloses the raw edge, and I simply fold along the line that I just did. Okay, see, no pins, no clips, no hem tape, simply using the fold line that I just did and stretching ever so slightly, minuscule stretching, just to make sure it lays flat on the bed of my machine. I go ahead and hem in the circle. I'm using a gorgeous unicorn main tape from Wizardry Stitchery and Crafts. I absolutely adore this tape, this thread. So nice, and I feel like it blends beautifully with this print. So go ahead and go all around. Again, I'm feeling for where the fold is with my left finger, index finger, and you can do exactly the same thing on your sewing machine with a twin needle or a zigzag stitch. A serger or a cover stitch should never stop you from sewing beautiful garments, ever. As long as you have a sewing machine, you can work around any of this style stitching. So I'm getting to where I started. I overlap about an inch, lift my needles, pull my threads, and now I'll show you how it looks on the inside. All the threads are locked in, and you sew it with your own eyes, no pins or anything. So this is what it looks like on the wrong side. See how beautiful? Just because I used my feel. The raw edge is enclosed, and any waviness that you see here, there's a mild waviness because it is on the bias and it has stretch. So it's absolutely normal to have a mild waviness. Once I go back to the steam, to the ironing machine and the steam, and I give it a few fists of steam, it will all disappear and lay nice and flat. So this is one sleeve. We're going to go ahead and do the exact same thing on my other sleeve. Again, start hemming where the narrower part is, because that will be in the armpit. And then, like I said, fold your hem, your memory hem that you worked so hard to achieve on your ironing machine, and feeling with your fingers, go ahead, excuse me, and stitch all around. One way to obtain like a faux cover stitch would be to run the raw edge around it through your serger. This will make that overlocking stitch on the edge. Then fold it just like we did and use a twin needle. So that style will yield you this sort of looking stitching on the back, overlock stitching, and the two parallel lines of stitching on the front. If you want, I mean, you don't really have to, You can just use a twin needle, and when you use a twin needle, the back will look like a zigzag stitch and the front will look like two parallel stitches. So I think, to me, that is more than plenty. Then I got to the beginning. I'm going to excuse me, lock in my stitches, trim all the excess thread, and you are done with probably the hardest part of the pattern, hemming circles on the sleeves. And tomorrow we'll do the same thing for the skirt. But now you're ready, right? Now there's nothing to fear. You saw how easy that is. I'm going to go ahead and give it a good steam press. So I even all the edges, remove any waviness. Look how pretty it is. Absolutely gorgeous. And I'm going to meet you in a second at the serger so we can attach these two sleeves to the actual bodice. Okay, so we are at the serger right now. Again, a step you can do on your sewing machine. Just make sure that you use a triple stretch stitch, just like we did in yesterday's video. If you have a serger, would be definitely an easier way. But like I say many times, it is not mandatory, so you don't have to let that stop you. So I have the bodice that I've sewn for, look at this gorgeous panel. This is a big kids panel. And for sizing references, this is a size 7 bodice, and I've used the big kids panel for the front and the back. It wasn't quite enough for the lining. I had to piece together the lining, but it was definitely enough for the front, the back, and at least the front lining, not pieced together. So take your bodice. If you want, you can run a basting stitch along the arm side so you can tack together both the lining and the main, so this way you know they're not moving. Again, an optional step, but if you can do it, definitely take the 2 minutes to run a basting stitch all around. It doesn't have to be a triple stretch. It can be just a simple long stitch, the longest stitch you can have, because even if it pops, you'll remove the basting stitches afterwards. So take your sleeve. Look how beautiful it is. See, once I've pressed it, zero waviness, absolutely gorgeous. So take your sleeve and match the point that has the narrower part with the underarm point where the side seam is. So right here, you want to have this right side together. Oops, that is my makeshift trash. And then you want the point that has the longest the longest sleeve. You want to bring that over and match it to the shoulder seam. So the longest edge goes to the shoulder seam and the shorter goes to the armpit. So you're going to put a pin right there as well. And then you want to pin all around the arm opening. Not too many, but just a couple of pins to hold it in place. You do have 3 layers right now of cotton lycra, so when you sew it down, you want to make sure that you're catching all 3 layers of fabric. Your bodice lining, main, and the sleeve. So go ahead and pin all around. If you are right now doing the set-in sleeve, not this flounce, you will be stitching the sleeve right side together along the edge here, so that in place. You'll hem it using the memory hem and the same method that I showed you, and then you'll be matching the notches, the front notch, back notch, and shoulder notch when you pin the sleeve to the arm opening. Just like this, you'll have a notch on the front, a notch on the back, a shoulder notch, and then an armpit notch. Make sure you match those when you pin it together. So this is what it looks like pinned. I'm going to run it through my serger using a 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. So I'm basically just snipping just ever so slightly a little bit off. And like I said, not having a serger cannot discourage you from sewing this dress. You can simply do this step using a triple stretch stitch on your sewing, just like we've sewn the body. Gorgeous. Now if you want, you can tack this on your sewing machine. You can tack the seam allowance on the side seam here. So this is what it looks like with the sleeve on. So if you want this seam allowance right here, you can bring it down and tack it on the bodice right here. Just a couple of stitches so it doesn't pop up if it bothers you. If not, you can just leave it like this. So this is one sleeve. We'll do the exact same thing on the other side. So again, take the shortest part, match it like so, right sides together, and then the longest edge, and you want to match that to the top. So this here will go here on the shoulder, right sides together, put a pin and then a couple of pins around it. I love a flounce sleeve. As you can see, I am wearing a flounce sleeve right now, and when I use bamboo I really don't have them. Bamboo doesn't roll, whereas cotton lycra after a few washes tends to roll. So while you can leave it raw, I would encourage you to actually hem it so you don't see it rolling after a few washes. Bamboo doesn't. Okay, so let's go ahead and stitch it down, and that is the last step for today. Tomorrow, super easy. Tomorrow we do the pockets if you want to add them, and the skirt hem. It is really not a difficult project, and I love that the skirt has that little high-low effect on the front and back, and it's not just your regular circle skirt. I really want this skirt in my size. Okay, we are all done. So your bodice with the sleeves is finished. Look how adorable it is. Absolutely the cutest. I love it. Okay, snap a photo of your bodice with the sleeves added and post it in the day 3 photo comments of the Sew Along album. You'll find that in the Backstage Backroom group. You'll have that link in the description below. And I'll see you back here tomorrow when we'll be working on the skirt. Talk to you soon. Bye.